What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Man Hours Football Network Broncos Edition. I have a special guest on with me today, who is a Vikings writer, also for the same network, for the Man Hour Football Network. How are things going on over your side?
I'm doing pretty good. I wish we could have won maybe a preseason game or two, but I'm doing all right.
Well, as what you said, we came back, had a bounce back victory over the Minnesota Vikings, 23-13, um, and that honestly, I will say that felt good. I know it doesn't really matter because it's preseason, but let's talk about the Vikings side of it first. They did have a touchdown tonight.
Yep.
And I want to believe that was a rushing touchdown, if I'm
Yep.
not mistaken. So what talk a little bit about some of the players on your team players that you felt like had a really was a great felt like was a spotlight, and you think that you predictions. I guess that's predictions on. Could you potentially see any of these guys play a snap or two, start a role or whatever throughout the remaining of the season? Like how do you feel like this season's going to go for the Vikings?
In terms of guys that played yesterday, I'd probably say Emir Smith-Marset offensively has the best shot of any of those guys to make an impact on the season. He's probably going to be the wide receiver 4 if I had to guess. So, Adam Thielen's been battling injuries these last few years. So if that happens again, Emir's going to have to move up and be that guy. Defensively, Miles Dorn was out there specifically
Yes.
against y'all. I really think he might be a player here in the future too. The safety room's a little deep in Minnesota, but I mean, when you got a guy that's just out there taking heads off, he's proven that he can cover a little bit. They find spots on the roster for guys like that. So I do expect Emir Smith-Marset and Miles Dorn to have some impact on this season.
I've actually said this on on other stuff as well. I didn't really said this here mainly because it's a Broncos show, but I see a lot of I see a bright future for this season for the Vikings.
I hope.
Looking at last season, they were literally heading into the second quarter, and if you guys had won every single game where you were in the lead when it went into the 2-minute warning, you guys would have had 14 wins.
Yeah, we played, if I'm not mistaken, 15 one-score games last season.
15. The only one that was the exception was the only one that I think Kirk Cousins did not play.
Yeah, and we beat Seattle by like 13 or something like that really early in the season. But the announcers during our game yesterday said something like the Broncos played 5 one-score games or something like that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but bust out laughing. I was like, man, 5 doesn't seem like anything after you watch what I watched last year, where week after week after week it was we're winning, and then all of a sudden we're not winning, and then we're winning again, and then like you said, with 2 minutes left, we just blow it, and it happened 15 out of 17 weeks. It was amazing, amazingly awful, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting to say the least. Now you're going in new coaching staff. You bring in a guy from the Los Angeles Rams, who, by the way, keep in mind they just won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
I feel like the only thing you really needed besides players on that defense was the defensive depth, was a guy who actually can who probably won't blow the lead up, I guess, in the heading into the thing.
I mean, just somebody on defense that can make a play. Like, it doesn't have to be a 90 overall PFF grade type of guy. It's just somebody that can make a stop on a third down. Because if you remember in 2017 when Case Keenum led the Vikings to the NFC title game, we only gave up a first down like 24% of third downs or something like that. When teams were on third down against that Vikings defense, they were getting off the field. And it seemed like last year, if a team had a 3rd and 18, they were converting. Like it was just in 4 years' time, the defense went from all-time great to just atrocious, awful to watch. And it one of the biggest turnarounds, fastest turnarounds in the history of any sports team I've ever seen, going from, like I said, historically great to historically awful in such a short time, especially with some of the same players on the roster.
Mm-hmm. Now, talking about some of the downsides from that game yesterday, were you surprised on any of the players that got cut?
I'd say I was pretty surprised Armon Watts got cut. He's been, at the very least, consistent. He's never dominating games, but he's never getting dominated. So I thought he was a great depth piece in the middle of our interior defensive line behind Dalvin Tomlinson and Harrison Phillips. But cut him today, and then we traded for Ross Blacklock, who I wasn't a huge fan of. I do NFL draft analysis. It's probably like my favorite thing to do in the football world. And I remember watching Ross Blacklock at TCU just thinking, this dude has no idea how to rush the passer. He's got no pass rush moves. If it's not a bull rush, he's not winning. And that's kind of been how it's been in the NFL. You know, he's not been the greatest player. So I'm kind of interested to see where we play him. Are we going to play him at 3 technique? Or are we going to move him to the edge? And, you know, as of right now, I have no idea where they see this defense going. Hopefully up. But as of right now, I'm not so excited about what I'm going to see on defense this year.
Now, heading into the other into Denver side of things, kind of going on the same lines when you talk about inconsistency. You know, Josh Johnson throughout the preseason has been a little bit inconsistent. You know, that's just to say that. But I'm not surprised that he didn't win that backup job. What I am surprised about is that he got cut.
So I guess I could kind of agree with that. I kind of feel for that guy. Like, he's played on almost as many NFL teams as years I've lived on Earth, which is crazy to think about. And you know, it finally looks like he's going to get a spot to be a backup quarterback where he can just chill in Denver behind Russell Wilson. And then Mr. Rippon said, no, this is my job. This is what I'm here to do. And he was great all preseason. Every throw I've seen him make, Seth Williams bailed him out a couple times against us. But for the most part, Rippon was ripping it, no pun intended.
And, you know, do you think that really some of the family history might have to do with it? Maybe he's, I can't remember the guy's name, but he had an uncle who played quarterback for formerly known Washington Redskins, I can't remember the dude's name. Do you think family history has to do with part of it? I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Maybe a little bit, but as a Texas Longhorns fan, as you may know, we got the Arch Manning commitment. I like to believe that Arch Manning is elite, and it's not because of his uncles. So in this case, Rippon is just him. I'm gonna stand my ground on that. Family doesn't matter.
Side note, separate from, I know I kind of did a little bit off some of the topics, but this one definitely. Are you in that Texas area? I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
No, I'm from Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, okay. Because I'm actually from Texas, but I don't live there now. Now, going back into this thing, we did actually, Brett Rippon threw one interception. I looked at who it was earlier. Brett Rippon threw one interception I thought was really kind of tight window that didn't go out well. It bounced off of a Broncos player's head and then caught to a defender. But that was really the only downside of this game for him.
So, yeah, it was trying to rip it to KJ Hamler in the end zone, which I love KJ Hamler. So glad to see him healthy. I was a little surprised to see him play as much as he did yesterday, but I guess it kind of makes sense. You got to get him back in the game. But that was another play that Miles Dorn made. He's the reason that it was a tight window. Yep, and he got his hand across. So it's like that was the first play where I noticed Miles Dorn yesterday. And then I think he also took KJ Hamler's head off and got called on a penalty for it. So, yeah, Miles Dorn was all over. KJ Hamler probably fell asleep thinking about Miles Dorn last night.
And are you surprised that KJ Hamler, I don't think he made the final roster for the Broncos?
He didn't now.
I don't think he did.
Wow, like I said, I'm a big fan of KJ Hamler. I loved him at Penn State. I'm so sad that Sean Clifford was just able to ruin him. And I kind of expected KJ to be Russell Wilson's Tyler Lockett this season.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised as well because you look at the guy that I really thought was going to do well ended up having a season-ending injury.
Tim Patrick.
He had a season-ending injury, and so he's going to miss the entire season. Look at last year; he was the only receiver in the entire NFL to not drop a pass. So I thought, bringing in a new quarterback, throwing it to him, I just threw a shot in the dark that say that I'm sorry, no, it wasn't KJ Hamler. No, KJ Hamler made it. It was somebody else that got cut from. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on names today. I had a long day at work. Blanking on names. The Broncos receiver that got cut he played quarterback against the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, Kendall Hinton.
Yes, Kendall Hinton got cut.
That doesn't surprise me.
Wrong person. Completely wrong person.
Who was the I can't remember his name either. The little number 12 guy for you guys. This little jitterbug, explosive as all hell. He had a end-around touchdown against us.
Are you talking about defensively or?
No, offense? He was offense. He plays like wide receiver, running back, kind of. He scored a touchdown in the left corner of the end zone on an end-around. I can't remember his name. I know he's number 12. But he went to the Samford kid. He went to Samford. God, I can tell you everything about him except his name. That's so weird. But I was really impressed by him. Not impressed enough to remember his
Washington.
Name. Yes, Montreal Washington, yes.
And yeah, I've been reading he's been the star in the entire preseason.
Yeah, he popped off the screen. I mean, they were talking about him in the broadcast. He thinks he can score every time he touches the ball. Now, most of these guys do, so I mean that's not special.
He was the only person that got a compliment. He was the only person on the Denver Broncos roster that got a compliment from Russell Wilson.
So he kind of reminded me. I don't want to say Tyreek Hill because that's crazy. Nobody's Tyreek Hill, but he's got some of that little. He can go from a standstill to 5 yards any direction like that, and it's like you don't even see him move. He's just that explosive.
I'm not as high on. I know we're getting a little bit off topic, but I'm not as high on Tyreek Hill as other people are.
I can kind of understand. I mean, he is obviously he's a very, very elite weapon in the league, but there is people that try to say he's like a better football player than Justin Jefferson or Devontae Adams. That I can't agree with. But is he the most dangerous weapon in the NFL? Probably.
Mostly because of his speed.
Yeah. But he's just so explosive. There's a reason that he's Tyreek Hill. They don't make many like him. So.
And now going into the last topic before we give this close, how are you seeing this Denver Broncos season? They're really stacked against other teams in the AFC West, Broncos brought in a quarterback, but that wasn't the only big news that throughout the entire division. How do you see this Denver Broncos team heading in the future?
So as I said, I'm from KC. I live right outside of KC, so I'm in the heart of Chiefs country. 90% of my friends are Chiefs fans, so I have to hear all the time how great Patrick Mahomes is, how great Travis Kelce is, how great their defense is going to be this year, because of their rookies. Personally, I think the Chargers are going to win the West. In terms of the Broncos, I want to like you guys a lot. My best friend is a Broncos fan, and like I said, we're fighting Chiefs fans all the time. So I consider myself a number 2 Broncos fan, so I want you guys to win so bad just to stick it to these Chiefs people that I'm around. But Patrick Mahomes is just so good. Justin Herbert's just so good. I could see you guys making a wild card spot for sure. Winning the division, I don't think. I'd say if I had to bet on it, I'd say the Chargers are probably better than y'all, and I'd say the Chiefs are probably better than y'all if I had to put money on it. But there's no reason Denver can't make a wild card and be one hell of a team to face on wild card weekend.
In fact, I'm just going to go out and say where I see the Denver. How I put this team, I feel like Russell Wilson got traded not quite to the same team, but they had a lot of similarities, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Denver has a much better pass rush than Seattle.
Yeah.
I feel like Denver has a slightly better receiving core. Seattle has a better 1 and 2.
Yeah, but depth, I'll agree with depth, yeah.
More depth. Outside of that, I don't see every team that they face against that has a very solid running back. Titans have Derrick Henry. We have Colts on the schedule. They have, oh gosh, I'm blanking on names today. Anyway, my point is, every time we have a face, I don't see this happening, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Jaguars upset us.
You guys, the Broncos and the Vikings are incredibly similar right now, I feel like. Because we both have relatively deep receiver cores. Your guys' quarterback is better than ours, but I'm one of the Vikings fans that believes Kirk Cousins is actually pretty damn good. Now, is he as good as Russell Wilson? No. But like, Kirk Cousins is top 12-ish quarterback. Russell Wilson's top 7-ish. So they're not that far apart. And it's just you guys have the one thing that we don't, and that's guys in the secondary that can cover. So, like, that's the one leg up, I would say, is we don't have a single corner that I trust to cover anybody. The wide receiver 6 on the Cardinals, I don't trust us to be able to cover that guy. You guys have like 5 guys in the secondary that you match them up on Devontae Adams, you match them up on Cooper Kupp, and you feel decent. I mean, you don't really ever feel good about anybody covering those guys. But like Patrick Surtain, beautiful pick, turned out great. And the safeties with Justin Simmons and Caden Stearns has flashed a lot lately. And who's the corner 2? Names have not been the strong point of this podcast.
I know.
Because I know last year you guys had, like, you had Darby, and you had Michael Ojemudia, and Kareem Jackson. Yeah, Pat Surtain. So, like, the secondary in Denver is ridiculous. Vic Fangio did a great job building that up. And I can't pronounce your new defensive coordinator's name, but I've heard a lot of hype and rave about him, so I don't think the defense is going to fall off that much. I love Nick Bonito. Hate Oklahoma, but love Nick Bonito. I think he's going to be great on third downs for y'all. Randy Gregory's going to be great on third downs. So the Denver defense on third down is going to be pretty scary with all the speed and the coverage ability.
So where I see this team heading into the first half of the quarter, heading into the first half, I see us first 8 games. I see us 7-1 first in the division. Only loss during that stretch is against the Colts.
The Colts are a good team. I do like the Colts this year too. So
Second half of the season, we have a tight schedule. I see us going 3-6. So those going together, 10-7, missing the playoffs because the Chiefs beat us in game 2.
My buddy today sent a picture in our fantasy football group chat, and it was Patrick Mahomes' career record versus the Broncos. And as you know, it is a 9-0 undefeated. Patrick Mahomes has never lost to the Denver Broncos, and that it just grinds my gears, man. It's so annoying watching them dominate all the time. That's why I pray you guys are good this year. I want the Raiders to take off. I want the Chargers to take off, and I want you guys to take off. You guys win 13 to 10 games, and let the Chiefs sit down there with 7 or 8. Please, for the love of God.
I hope so too. I just feel like if Broncos are put as an NFC team, only 2 teams I would take over the Denver Broncos are actually there's only one, the Rams. Bucks with their offensive line, no. With all those,
especially now.
No. Saints, I could see that argument. Philly, I could see that argument. No one else, no.
So yeah, even the Packers would probably be projected to be better than you guys, but I don't know how. I love Aaron Rodgers. I know it's weird to say it. I'm a Vikings fan, but I believe that Aaron Rodgers is the greatest thrower of the football ever. But when he has nobody to throw to, that's why I'm so glad the Vikings got the Packers week 1. We get to play him week 1 before Rodgers can find a guy that he trusts down to down. And hopefully that whole first game is just him trying to figure that out, and there's drops all over the place, and that would just be beautiful.
So I feel like I have talking about both divisions here. I think y'all are going to win the division by a lot. In fact, I see a route where you guys only have 2-3 losses.
Shoot. I like the way you're thinking.
Packers are second. They make the playoffs as a 6 seed. Third would be Detroit. 6 wins is where I see them. And
That'd
then Bears get 2. Going into the AFC West, Raiders win the division. Chargers are second with just 1 win behind them. And then Chiefs and Broncos finish the same record. Chiefs get that 7th seed because of and the Broncos miss because I really don't like our run when our team when it comes to stopping the run.
Yeah, I could definitely see how that would be a concern, especially since I was raving about Nick Bonito earlier, and that's kind of the biggest hole in his game is stopping the run, holding up against the run. Yeah, and I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but Uwazurike, I think you guys took him in the 4th round at Iowa State. Yeah. I was super, super high on him. He was a dog at Iowa State. I loved his tape. I think he might end up making assuming he makes the roster. I don't know if he made the roster or not. But I think he could end up – what?
I will have to look, and I think I'm going to make that another episode this week.
So if he ends up making the roster, I think he could end up pushing those interior guys into some playing time because if there's one thing he could do in college, it was hold up to a double team. And now, of course, it is the NFL. It's a bit tougher. But I think he has that run stuffing potential, and he got it in the 4th round, which is beautiful. So.
Last thing before I hop up, is there anything you want to advertise?
I don't do much, but I do have a sports Twitter account. It's at Sport Talk Center. During the draft season, I'll do cut-ups of players' tape that I like, and I'll put it out there. Positives and negatives, stuff like that. I write for Man Hour. I also write for a couple of other websites. So you can find all that there if you want to. And, yeah, that's about it.
As for me, I will be having an article coming out soon, and for both the All Sports All Plays Network and the Man Hour Network. Man Hour is talking about one particular punter that got cut for Denver, and I found that, let's just say I found that a little bit interesting. More on that later. And then I also will have a video coming talking about other players that got cut and see my takes are on that. Or I might swap it. Article on the other players video on the punter, depending on length and other stuff. Maybe I'll have to figure that out later. As for ASAP, I might look at the schedule. We'll be doing a play-by-play game between Hawaii college football and Western Kentucky. I live in the Pacific time zone, so it goes out pretty late around here with schedule work and all that kind of stuff. I won't be able to start until later. So I will be going on this Saturday to do that. Try to remember everybody's names that time.
Ooh, good luck.
And then last but not least, the Nights of Creativity, She-Hulk Attorney at Law episode 1 coming out sometime either today or tomorrow. Stay tuned in for that. As for now, this has been Nate the Great, his special guest, Chase Peterson, signing out, and we'll see you guys next time.
Skol.